to the metal when the lane moving fast. Hey, let them all cross. If they hate, then let them hate and make a bigger boss. Hey.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Podcast, the top podcast in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines. But most importantly, you guys provide some actual insight into what you can do with all of this information. This is your first time tuning in. Welcome. This is the real side of freight, ladies and gentlemen. And I do say that before every single show. And what I mean by that is I only speak with transportation professionals because at the end of the day, I want to talk to the right individuals who have done what you're looking to do or who are currently doing what you're trying to achieve. So you can take that information, apply it, utilize it, and see a meaningful difference in your business and your life. Happy Tuesday, everybody. I got a very special guest for you guys. I'm going to bring him up in just a second. I got to annoy you guys for my once a week reminder. The Freight Coach newsletter drops every single Wednesday. All right. Once a week. I don't sell out your contact list though. And I don't auto sign you up for it if I have your email address because, like, frankly, it pisses me off when people do that to me. Not that I don't appreciate the hustle. I just believe on a meritocracy. So if you want to get it, go to my website and sign up for it. If you're worried about me spamming you on stuff, I don't even know who signed up for it. My team handles all of that. I couldn't even tell you whose email address is in there. And frankly, I can barely restart my own computer without assistance. So I wouldn't even know what to do with it if I had your information. So rest assured, you guys, I just want to add value out there to the market. We talk fuel prices, industry-related content, rates, all of that fun stuff. As you guys see, I got a bunch of great partners down here who provide us with a ton of value. And it's all free, right? That's pretty cool. So if you want to jump in on that, go to thefreightcoach.com, register for it. It'll auto-prompt you, and that's that. But today's guest, like I said, I'm going to bring him on here, and we're going to talk about something that is near and dear to both of our hearts, and that's the broker and carrier dynamic. And it's wild because I feel like everything has come full circle when I started creating content in this industry on the topics of conversation, because we're right back to where we started 6 years ago. So with that being said, I got my man Dan Lindsay on the show with the Broker Carrier Summit to break down today's topic about the broker and carrier dynamic and what the hell is going on out there. So what's going on, man?
Oh, so many things are going on right now. And by the way, this is one of the reasons why we're friends. It's like I cannot start my computer without a startup guide as well. So
dude, well, that thing is it's like I couldn't even tell you. Like, I pay the invoice for the software that we use to like auto distribute. I couldn't even tell you like how it's done. Like, fortunately, I have a great team behind the scenes who does all of that stuff, who puts the newsletter together and distributes it. I don't even know who signed up for it. Like, I truly don't. And it's but yeah, dude, it's been a long time since you've been on. I think you were before, about like 5-6 weeks before the spring BCS that you guys had out there in Kansas City. And what a lot's changed. I think it was kind of like on the front end of things starting to change when you guys did your summit last. And now it's seemingly everything's off the rails out there from the broker and carrier dynamic, at least on social media anyways.
Yeah. Well, I think, was it this year? I wasn't this year that I was on. It was 20, was it 24?
No, you've been on before since then.
Okay. Maybe it was spring last year then. Cause it's been a minute. It's been at least a year, I think. Yeah. Okay. It's time flies, man. So, but yeah, a lot of things going on. Like as you alluded to, the entire conversation around broker carrier dynamics and broker carrier relationships has fundamentally changed in the last 5 years, 6 years. I think BCS has had a ton to do with that. I think you have had a lot to do with that. It's one of the reasons why we get along again. It's because I think we're aligned on a lot of our approaches when it comes to how brokers and carriers need to be more cooperative and more partnership oriented than competitive. But yeah, so Kansas City was our most recent event. We had around 500 people attend again. It wasn't our largest event, but it was, I think, to date, the most impactful. And super excited. We were able to bring actually trucks into the general session area. So we had the stage flanked by 2 different trucks. One was a veterans truck, and one was a truck provided by one of our sponsors. So a lot of cool things happening within the BCS.
Dude, so let's go back. 6 years ago when I started doing this, we were kind of talking about this before we went live, and I see the literal exact same talking points all over social media right now. And I see brokers crying about rates and how drivers are quoting them $2,000 above what they're posting. And I see a lot of people who are very soft and get their feelings hurt very, very easily out there. And then on the flip side, I now see drivers saying we need $5 a mile minimum. The group of individuals are calling for like government overreach, which is shocking to me that they want the government to take over that, like all things considered. But it's like, here we are 6 years later, going back to those exact same conversations. It's gone completely full circle out there. And I'm just sitting here kind of like twisted, like just like you, both of us don't really possess much hair anymore, although I got some on the top of my head. But I see a lot of this and I'm like, how did we get back here? How did we get back here, do you think?
Yeah, I honestly, there's not, I think, one answer to that. One of the answers to that, though, I think is definitely this is continuing to be a relationship business. Everybody says that. Everybody says it's a relationship-based business, but that's hard. And relationships move in cycles. Yeah. You mentioned the conversations being similar to where they were back in 2020. Carriers asking for higher rates, brokers scrambling to find carriers, new brokers entering the market with not the most complete idea of what navigating this market looks like, especially in light of recent events in DC. You mentioned the regulatory environment. Relationships always drive this business. And you have to have a solid orientation as to how you're going to approach partnerships and relationships. Otherwise, you're going to continue to see this cyclical nature in your business.
It's, man, I look at with where, I see things out there and it's like, dude, we have our core carriers. Like we got our guys in, and girls that have been working with us repeatedly over these years. And, I think I remove the emotions from it more than, and it wasn't easy to do this, right? Like early on in my career, I was a hothead about a lot of bullshit. But I look at with where things are now, where it's like, dude, the free market is the free market. And that's what's beautiful about it, right? Like nobody actually wants a floor or a ceiling. Like they truly don't. Like if it boiled down to it, because then that would mean you could only make so much money, no matter what you say. Like, oh, if the $5 a mile crew that's out there banging that drum on social, you don't want a $5 a mile minimum because that means you can't make $6 a mile. I just paid somebody, actually multiple drivers, over $6 a mile to haul freight. So then that freight wouldn't exist for you, right? And I get the economics of it. I truly do. Although I went to public school, like I can add, I do know how to balance a budget. I do know how to operate a P&L. I just look at it where it's like, you have to understand like the ebbs and flows of it, because I think as a broker, and that's where the bulk of my experience is. Yes, my family are truck drivers. I've got a lot of, like side experience in that, but I've never ran a trucking company. So I'll never tell anybody how to run a trucking company because I've never done it. But as a broker, it is as simple as this. The person with the truck wins. All right. It's as simple as that. And what we are going to embark upon, we're not there yet. What we are going to embark upon is there is going to come a time and place here in the not so distant future where you won't find any trucks because you have built up so much resistance out there in the market, where you used to be able to get away with a lot more because social media wasn't a thing. I don't remember pre-2020 people screenshotting, don't work with this broker, don't work with this broker. They've done this, look at the way they talk to us. As you see out there.
I do, because I worked for the broker they were posting about.
But I see that a lot more now. And I think that a lot of individuals are going to experience the harsh realities of mistreating those partners. Because again, I could sit up here all day long. I could 100x my engagement if I only talked about the negative things that I experience as a business owner. Yeah. I could 100x it, but it would be a short-term thing. I think you guys need to understand, you need to put the emotions aside here and understand that, like, hey, you're a broker. All you got to do is find trucks, right? Present rates, especially right now. Your customer will say yay or nay, and that's it.
Yeah, well, I think one of the biggest examples of this that we've seen in the last few years has been the conversation around transparency. And it really highlights the difference between the online conversation and the real life conversation. So the online conversation is this: all the carriers, all the drivers, they want broker transparency because they're taking all their money, and they're the business, the condition of their business is the way it is because brokers are taking all their money, right? But if you get the same carriers and the same drivers in a room and you talk through the brass tacks of operating a business, you talk through the steps that brokers have to go through to acquire business, the costs involved in that, and likewise, you share with the broker the costs involved in running a trucking company. The transparency conversation shifts
Mhm.
in a massive way into okay, how do we create parity here? Because as an individual, I don't want a ceiling or a floor for me. And I can scream online that I want a ceiling or a floor for you. But when you
Yeah.
get in the room, you realize and you understand that having a ceiling or a floor for anyone results in everybody losing.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't know anybody who champions socialism, like at least anybody who I fucking want to talk to, because that's essentially what that is. But it's like talking about transparency. I get it from like an overhead if you're looking at the risk and costs associated with running a trucking company as opposed to running a brokerage, right? Like at the end of the day, I get the economics. I don't have to worry about a $15,000 to $20,000 engine repair for my office. All right. I don't. I get all of that economics of it. But I think what you need to understand is the competitive nature that is in brokerage. Nobody is making 30 to 40% on their loads. They might get away with it once. All right. I'm not going to say that it doesn't happen, but the consistency behind it, that's impossible because I quote stuff all the time. Nobody's making that much money as a broker on there because if I get wind that you're making 30% and you're in my customer, I'm going to fucking cut your rate in half and I'm going to bleed you out. Like I'm just going to do that, right? Because if you think you need 30%, I'll do it for 15. Just watch, right?
Yeah.
And that's what goes on out there. And then furthermore, if you really want to just do another 5 seconds of research out there, every single publicly traded broker inside of this industry, all of their financials are public. Right? You can see what their operating ratios are as a broker. Most of them are around that 12 to 14% mark.
Mm-hmm.
And if those largest players who are in everywhere, if that's where they're at, that's the general consensus. Not saying that there aren't some anomalies where, there's going to be people out there who can make a little bit more here and there, but that you can't argue with that data.
Not only is that the general consensus, that's kind of a high watermark. Because if you're running $1 billion freight brokerage or a $10 billion freight brokerage, you should be a master at efficiency in your operations. You should have tools and processes that make you as lean as possible to run an operation that can be as profitable as possible.
Mm-hmm. Small
to mid-market companies, I ran a small brokerage. We topped out. Our highest revenue year was around $12 million in top line revenue. We ran about an 8% gross margin after we paid the carriers. And so we had to operate on that 8%. And our net income was less than 1%. That is the story. And as I talk to more and more brokers, as I've been outside of the broker role, more into the events role, they open up their books to me. They open up their operations. That's more common than anyone wants to admit, whether you're a broker or a carrier. Living on that half of a percentage point year over year, maybe. And God forbid you make a decision to implement a piece of technology that ends up being the wrong piece of technology that is very expensive to implement and then very expensive to replace once you realize that it was the wrong direction. Every single decision matters in those cases, and it's a struggle.
Do you think that with everything that's happening on, Capitol Hill, especially with some of the most recent things that are coming down the pipeline, do you think that is going to negatively affect the smaller fleets that are out there more than they might be realizing?
I think if you're a small fleet that has not been doing its due diligence, yes. Just like if you're a small broker who hasn't been doing their due diligence. One of the things that I told people ever since the Montgomery decision came out was if you have been working on your processes, if you're a broker, if you've been working on your vetting process, working on your onboarding process and your training processes, and if you are a carrier who's been working on your safety scores, you have very little to worry about. If anything, this is a great business opportunity for you. Every single small to mid-market company who has been working on their processes and fine-tuning their vetting and safety scores, you need to go to your customers yesterday and explain to them in detail why your rates are going up. Because capacity is going to shrink, reliable capacity is going to shrink even more. And is even right now with Motus having all the issues that it has, we're seeing a temporary artificial, even further decrease in available capacity because people aren't able to register. So I think this is a business opportunity for both small market brokers and carriers if they want to take it.
I saw some of that out there. Is that what are the issues? Like they're not able to actually register to get their business up? Like what are the actual issues that Motus is bringing down?
Yeah, from what I've heard, so they're not able to. So for newer DOT numbers, they're not able to actually enter them into the system, and so they can't register. So it's affecting primarily newer carriers.
Because I had the DOT on the show, or the FMCSA on the show, and they were saying that it was there to essentially, have that one single point of like sign on and all of that stuff. And when I was seeing a lot of those early reports, Dan, I was like, is this because there's that many fucking fraudulent people signing up that
that could be it.
Not, again, I know that that's a general statement, but when I had them on the show, they had said like, hey, this is to stop the bad actors from getting access to getting their own authority. Is that actually what is the real results of this? Is there was that many fraudulent people registering every single day that now that there's that stopgap that's in there, that's prohibiting them from registering?
Well, that's definitely a subset of that data, 100% without question. So, I mean, how many new MCs are being formed every single day? I think it was like 500 a day or something like that for the last 3 or 4 years. And many of those had, multiple affiliations and were part of these larger fraudulent chameleon networks with, principal places of business that were all virtual, all kinds of stuff. We've heard all that in the last few years. So that's definitely a subset of that, without question. I think one of the things that everybody needs to realize is, even with that being a subset of the data, the government is not going to be the solution to our problems. The private sector needs to continue to evolve and to adapt. I think it was Ronald Reagan who said that the government is not coming to save you.
His famous line is the worst thing you want to hear is we're from the government and we're here to help.
We're exactly, yeah, we're from the government, we're here to help. Yeah, that's terrifying. Right. So I think over reliance on the federal government to do our due diligence as an industry is a mistake. And I think what we've seen in the last 5 years specifically is the private sector stepping into the gap and creating multiple tools, creating multiple possibilities for vetting. None of them are perfect. And I think all the platforms will tell you that. None of them are perfect. All of them have their data set that they work with and their interpretation of that data set that they work with to vet carriers. But the due diligence tools are out there. And if you're a broker and if you're a carrier, you need to go and find those tools that work for you and your company and implement them where you can.
Because like I saw some of this stuff where it's like, it was all over mainstream media, like CBS and stuff like that. And I was watching some of this stuff and I was like, this is some of the biggest choppy paid hit pieces I've ever seen out there. Like, again, I'm an amateur content editor at best. All right. Like I know how to edit, splice videos. Some of the stuff that I had saw out there, I'm like, that is some of the worst fucking editing I have ever witnessed in my entire life. They were clearly painting a narrative out there to say all freight brokers are doing this. And
Mhm.
what I think is it's like, I look back and, cause like the whole thing is, oh, brokers are the only reason that there's cheap. Like people are hiring drivers it's like, how do I have anything to do with who you hire to drive for your trucking company, right? Like who you hire internally has nothing to do with me. The last time that I checked, right? Like I never knew I was brought into hiring meetings for trucking companies.
Yeah, well, that's one of the pitfalls of listening to too much media. I mean, as a rule, I don't consume a ton of mainstream media anyway when it comes to news. But even more so in the industry, you have to check your sources, man.
Mhm.
Um, just because somebody has a platform, just because somebody has a smoke machine or whatever they have, um, does not mean that they are worth listening to or worth your time. Um, Everybody has a narrative. That's why when we launched BCS Media, we did so largely with fear and trepidation. Like we did not set out to start a media company. We still don't want to have the BCS Media considered a media company. We want to be a platform for the most valuable voices in freight.
Mhm.
We don't have a narrative that we're trying to push. Back to your point earlier, we could get a monstrous amount of clicks by Dan saying something inflammatory on LinkedIn or Twitter or whatever.
Mhm.
We don't do that.
Yeah.
All the bad actors get all the good press anyway, and we could rage bait people. We could prostitute ourselves out for clicks. But again, it's a short-term win, long-term loss, and we're not about that. But there are people out there, many of them, who are not beneath
I know.
that.
I know
So
they've sold their souls, and it's very evident, right? Because it's like I look at it where as a owner of a brokerage, I look at it as like carriers and customers, and I've said this for 6 years. Carriers and customers are, shippers are 1A and 1B of importance.
mhm.
And as a broker, I need that. I need that closed capacity loop to go out there and to be able to execute my customers' freight at a very, very high level. Because ultimately, I don't want anybody. I got to make an environment where everybody wins, right? Carrier wins, shipper wins, I win, right? We all got to make money. We all got to go out there and make this happen. I have just found that like brutal transparency is the only way to do that. And like by brutal transparency, I mean my carrier knows everything I know about this
Mhm.
load, right? They know every single piece of information, phone numbers, points of contacts, PO numbers, weights, every single loading requirement. They got it all, right? Like
Mhm.
I've never found a time where withholding information has benefited me in any capacity. And what I found is like we're upfront with them in the booking process. They know everything. And if they try and say, you never said that, we just say revert back to the email. We put all of this in writing for you as well after we had talked about it. But like again, we don't really have that conversation because everybody is very, very aware of what they're getting themselves into. And then furthermore, all of our freight, especially all of our best paying freight, who do you think that goes to? It goes
Mhm.
to our carriers that have been with us for years. If our customers are paying more money because the market dictates a higher rate, who do you think gets first crack at that? Our guys that have been working with us for years on end. We want
Yeah.
them to make money. I want them to be able to expand their fleet because if they're operating this well with 3 trucks, how do we get them to 6 trucks? How do we get them to work with us on more of an exclusivity basis?
Yeah, absolutely. And we hear those stories all the time. It's such an encouragement. The dynamic between brokers and carriers, to go back to the point we made at the beginning, was it's changing. We've had so many conversations around companies that have found each other, whether it's online at an event, through our network, through shows like this one, who started out doing 1 or 2 loads a week, right?
Mhm.
For them, just to kind of test the waters, and they moved 4 or 5. And next thing you know, they're adding 10 trucks or however many trucks, and they've been working with these same brokers, these same carriers for the last 2 or 3 years. The future of logistics is partnership, and I think the the longer we the longer we're in this industry, the more apparent that is to me anyway.
I literally just think like there's, these again, it's a competitive advantage for us because like I actually practice what we preach on this show. Like I actually do it. I know I have the direct customer feedback that is out there. I have the direct carrier feedback that is out there. But I think if we try and overcomplicate what we're doing so much, and people are afraid to have, they're not even difficult conversations, man. Like people are afraid to just have a conversation with their provider or their shipper about like, hey, this is what we're seeing out there in the market. This is where we need to be. You know, like I will never knowingly take freight for a loss just to say I have the load, right? Just to go out there and try and like push down the rates on the carrier. The market's the market, right? Like I can't control that. I can control my ability to find a truck. And if the rate is higher than what my customer wants to pay, I can't control that. Then my customer says no. And that's it, right? And I just think that too many people try and set themselves up, or they get so offended when a carrier asks for more money. They should, right? Like, why should they ask for more money?
It's their job to ask for more money. It's your job to be able to quote your shipper the rate that you know you can cover the load at. One of the most frustrating and hilarious and sad conversations I had as a leader of a freight brokerage was talking to a broker who knowingly undercut the shipper, who at the same time wants to bitch about the carrier asking for more than he has in the load. Like, you knew you underquoted the shipper. You knew you underquoted the customer just because you were desperate to get the load.
Yeah.
Right. And so now you can't, it's not the carrier's fault that you underquoted. It's yours. So those conversations are going to continue to happen, especially, again, you get a bunch of new people into the market, young people, nothing against them. They don't know what they don't know. They don't know the freight market like we do. They haven't been in, crazy up cycles and crazy down cycles. They weren't here during the COVID years in freight when everybody lost their minds. They don't know what they don't know. And so I think it's incumbent upon us as people who have been in the industry for 10, 15, 20 years to invest in them in ways that will help them grow in their professional understanding.
No, I agree with that, right? Like I look at it as, I don't know everything, but I know a lot of what not to do. And that's kind of been my strategy with the show the entire time is just tell you guys what not to do. And, because it's like, I've done that. I've burned so many bridges that are out there with my customers and my carriers that to me, it's like, it's not as complex as people try and make it out to be. The more technology that comes in to this industry makes you think like we're trying to solve some fucking Venn diagram of bullshit. It's not, man. It's as simple as this. Picks up at point A, delivers to point B. That's it. That's as complex as you truly need to make it. Now, I understand somebody could make an argument in any way, but go right ahead. All right. Make all the arguments till you're blue in the face, but you're not going to change my opinion. This job is very simple when you break it down to its core. We make it more complicated than we need to. We truly do.
Well, and people make it more complicated for a number of reasons. I think primarily it's because of this. A lot of people are afraid to be authentic. And that's, I want to pivot to just real quick and compliment you. I was mentioning this earlier on the show. One of the reasons why I think you have been able to navigate this space for so long as well as you have and develop the strength of a brand that you have around you and your show is because you are 100% a real person, and everybody gets the real Chris Jolly every single time they talk to you, whether it's in person or on the show. That authenticity, you cannot put a price tag on that. And a lot of people are, for whatever reason, they're so hesitant to be themselves, whether it's in the sales conversation or in the negotiation with the carrier or in conversations like this. They miss all those opportunities for long-term brand strength.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. I see it often. I really do. It's people are afraid to speak their truth. For whatever reason, and it's like, and you can see the progression of these individuals out there on social media on where they go. And it's like, just say what your beliefs are. Like, so be it, right? Like, I'm not afraid to admit I believe in God. Okay. I pray every single day. If you feel that way, you shouldn't be afraid or ashamed to say that. It's like when it comes to like, people are like, oh, political beliefs, this. I'm conservative leaning. Okay. I am at the end of the day, but I'm pro freedom for everybody first and foremost. Why are you afraid to say any of this stuff? Like what? You're afraid the big bad boogeyman's going to come kick in your fucking door? Like it's not going to happen. And that's the thing is you have to, if you want to stand on anything, stand on your beliefs. That tribe, all of that you want is going to inevitably come your way. but you can't be wishy-washy. Draw a line in the sand and then stand your ground. That's what you should do.
Yeah, 100%. And you know what? The beauty of that is, if you are your authentic self in the business process, the opportunities that you rate and you deserve will come your way.
I love it. Yeah.
They will, because you will be presenting your authentic self to the marketplace, and the individuals and the companies and the opportunities that resonate with you most naturally, most authentically, will come your way. You got to work your butt off for it still. Absolutely. No one said it's going to be a cakewalk, but it starts by being real and having real conversations. And it starts with a real conversation with yourself.
Dude, amen to that. Dan, I appreciate your time as always. How does anybody reach out to you to find out more about what you got going on?
Absolutely, yeah. www.brokercarriersummit.com if you want to attend one of the events we have going on. Also, if you want to look at the network and stay up to date on all that we are doing, whether it's Broker Carrier Summit, Cross Border Connector, Veterans in Logistics, Women in Logistics, go to bcsfreightnetwork.com. That's kind of becoming our hub of operations and news for the industry. So love to chat with anybody.
Dude, I love it. Dan, thank you so much. If you guys can't find Dan or the Broker Carrier Summit out there, hit me up. I will gladly put you guys in contact with them. That is going to be it for today, ladies and gentlemen. As always, if you got value in what you heard and you're not subscribed, subscribe to the show, you guys. And if you're feeling ambitious, rank that show on iTunes and Spotify, because if you see value, your network's going to see it as well. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Came back with a bang, window down, yelling out money, and it